Donald Trump ran on making America great again. He ran on America first. He said day one, he's going to lower prices of everything. But everything that he has done thus far is making us barrel into economists say a recession. I'm thinking we're going to head into a depression with tariffs looming, the roller coaster that is the tariffs and the trade wars, with all of the mass deportations, and with all of these people being fired. That is not going to make anything about America great. It's going to make people desperate. It's going to cut funding for jobs, potential jobs, investment. So many different things are going wrong, and it's simply because of this man. And we have all of the things that are going on with Russia, Vladimir Putin running things, but also all of these things going on right now is going to make people quite desperate. And I really don't know the end game, but what we see going on is this recession or depression. Let's jump into this article. Donald Trump's assault on the U.S. federal government and the world's interlinked manufacturing system have together reached an economic tipping point. It seems almost unavoidable that we're headed for a deep, deep recession, said Jesse Rothstein, Berkeley professor and former chief economist at the U.S. Labor Department. Once the pace of job losses crosses a critical line, the multiplier effects can snowball suddenly. Professor Rothstein said monthly non-farm payrolls, the barometer of U.S. economic health watched closely by markets, could turn viciously negative by late spring, contracting at rates surpassed only during the worst months of COVID and the Lehman crisis of 2008, the housing crisis. I think we're going to see historically large drops. Losses of 400,000 a month are not implausible because people are getting nervous out there. That number is crazy, 400,000 a month. It's not just the federal employees being fired. It's all the other people worried that they could be next. So they are cutting back too, he told The Telegraph. Professor Rothstein said the damage would not show up immediately due to lag effects. The ugly months will be April and May, but by then secondary shocks will have spread far and wide. There are all kinds of spillovers. Contracts for external contractors are being cut. Nobody knows how much imports are going to cost next month or if we're going to have accurate weather forecasts anymore. The fear factor is real. People don't know if they're going to get their fundings cut, if they're going to get fired, so they're not going to be spending money. That's the reason why these secondary shocks are going to be felt, because even people that aren't fired, even those businesses that are surrounding areas are going to feel the impacts because people are not going to be spending money. Things in this economy is about to get bad out there. Markets are implicitly betting that Trump's trade wars are just bluster, but he restated on Monday night that his 25% tariffs against Mexico and Canada would go ahead next week, which would instantly snarl up the North American auto industry. It would be devastating, said Ford's Jim Farley. Trump has a particular loathing for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and its weather service, deemed the spearhead of the climate change alarm industry by MAGA's Project 2025. The crazy thing about loathing these people that are predicting the weather is so strange. This impacts flights. This impacts houses and storms. I mean, knowing when storms are coming. So to loathe that would be just wild to me. Officials at NOAA have already been told that climate change and pollution are henceforth banned terms. The Office of Management and Budget plans to cut 38% of their funding as part of their campaign to root out woke agendas. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick wants to abolish the agency entirely. These people, this is where we are. They want to abolish these people that are talking about climate. These storms that are coming through are impacting lives, the housing industry, businesses, flights. And they're like, nope, we don't need this because it's woke to know that climate is actually changing. This is so weird to me. These people are crazy. The surprise is that Elon Musk's army of Zoomer zealots are taking on everybody, even the Defense Department. It will fire 5,400 civilian staff next week as the first stage of a 5 to 8% cull of the Pentagon staff to cut the fat and grow warrior muscle. They have these 19 to 20 some odd year olds sitting up there just cutting people that are running the nuclear plants, that are researching bird flu and watching those numbers. We have people that are just being cut that are supposed to be manning the national parks. People do not know and understand what is coming as far as this economy goes because they are just coming in, just slashing things. All right, it says it's hard to gauge the macroeconomic intensity of the fiscal cuts because judges are trying to jam on the brakes. We do not know what is mere theater. I incline to the view that the culture war is deadly serious. The U.S. economy has been displaying late cycle fatigue for some time, which is no doubt why Warren Buffett more than doubled his holding of cash and treasury bills to $334 billion last year. We can only guess at his real reasons for battening down the hatches. Perhaps he fears the delayed effects of past Fed tightening, or perhaps he dislikes anarchy. Last week, U.S. data ought to be a warning. Last week's U.S. data ought to be a warning. Home sales fell 4.9% in January. S&P Global survey of services tipped into contraction, and manufacturing held up only because of front-running ahead of trade wars. February saw the U.S. expansion falter to a near stall pace, it said. And that's the thing. When he started talking about trade wars and tariffs back in November, the manufacturing businesses started trying to prepare. They're going to run out of materials. Then they're going to be faced with buying products that are going to be more expensive. So those prices are going to be sent to us. So businesses are about to raise prices. People are getting fired. All of the deportations, so many different things happening all at once is the reason why we are seeing consumer confidence falling. That's the reason why we are barreling to a depression. We have so many things going on at once. The tariffs, what are the tariffs going to do? They're going to increase consumer prices. What's that going to do? People are going to buy less things. What is that going to do? That means that companies might have to lay people off. Okay. And then we got what? Mass deportations. What does that mean? That means that farmers, factories have less employees. So that means that they will have less food to put out, less supply, less widgets of whatever kind that they make. What does that mean? Less supply means that prices will go higher again making inflation go up higher. Okay, so more things. What else do we have? We have the mass layoffs. We've already talked about it. And it's like these mass layoffs are happening in concentrated areas, not just DC, but different cities are having these mass layoffs. So what does that mean? That means all of the surrounding businesses that were there to support those people will also feel an economic decline because people won't be buying lunches. People won't be shopping for clothes. People will be holding on to as much money as possible because of the uncertainty. And even the people who are not fired are still going to be holding on to their money because they don't know if they're going to be fired because of all of the threats of firing everybody. So what does that mean? That's the reason why consumer confidence is falling off of a cliff. All of these things put together means that we are just, like I said, barreling towards a depression. The economists are saying a recession. I'm thinking that this is going to be a depression. A report from the Conference Board Tuesday showed the sharpest 1 month drop in confidence since August 2021. Consumers are particularly nervous about rising prices, with the outlook for inflation a year from now jumping to 6%, double the current rate. This increase likely reflected a mix of factors, including sticky inflation, but also the recent jump in prices of key household staples like eggs and the expected impacts of tariffs. There was a sharp increase in the mentions of trade and tariffs back to a level unseen since 2019. This whole threat of tariffs, all of this back and forth has been going on since November. No wonder everything is in a state of flux. Why would any businesses invest right now in anything? And supposedly, all of these tariffs are going into effect next week. So we will see what happens next week. Let me know what you think about all of this. Join the conversation. I'm barreling towards 70,000 subscribers. Please go ahead and follow.